I might as well make it official. Good morning, everybody. We're getting a notice that they've called everybody back to the court, but it's more than likely just to say goodbye to the jurors for the day. So don't get hopes up that this is a verdict. But Turtle Boy has indicated that everyone was just called back to the court. The jurors had asked to be released early today because one did have an appointment. So again, I'm not clickbaiting here. We're just going to see what's going to happen. And as soon as I can get the video up, we'll go to the court and wait for it. I know. Probably a false alarm, but we're going to see where this goes. Thank you to everybody on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube for joining us right now. Wow, 142. Folks, again, the jurors had asked to be let out early today. This is more than likely what it's going to be. But Turtle Boy has said that everyone was just called back to the court. It's about that time. It's 3:32 p.m. on the East Coast. They need to be out by 4 o'clock, so any minute now we should have something going on. And 1 second, bear with me, folks. Let's see if I can drum up one of my cohorts. And just for programming notes, our newscast that was set for 6:30 tonight, I'm pushing back to 7 o'clock. I'm just not done with the news yet. And we've got major storms rolling through the area. So tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, you'll get a Karen Reed update, mainly the one from last night on the juror, plus a bunch of last night's news, including Chile de Castro losing his appeal. As we wait for the jury to come back, or for the court to come back in session. Today's been a fairly eventful day. Earlier in the day, they had a couple incidents where Alan Jackson objected to the verdict form that was given to the jury, that for the lesser charges, Karen Reed was not given the option of innocent in a checkbox. I know it sounds petty, but they had guilty in a subsection of, I believe it was the second charge she faced, which if she was not considered guilty of the top level, they could then go down 3 levels of guilt on that. And each one had a checkbox, a single checkbox that would indicate guilt. There wasn't one for guilt and one for innocent, for example. Alan Jackson protested in court earlier, and the judge had to redo the form entirely. It was a big deal when it came through. We just didn't go live because it only was here and gone in about 3 minutes. They had a couple break-ins for that. They also had a break-in just to start the day, greetings for the jury and all that stuff. Again, we are waiting because they're supposed to either be dismissing the jury for the day or there may be a verdict, but I'm highly doubtful of that. Wow, we do have a ton of people on Twitter. Good morning, Twitter, or good afternoon, Twitter, to all of those who are joining us for perhaps the first time. We mainly focus on 1A auditing news. We focused on this case because Turtle Boy has been a member of some of our communities. We're not necessarily pro Turtle Boy. We're not necessarily against Turtle Boy, but he has been a member within some of the communities that we frequent, so we decided to take on this case as well. Something going on in the courtroom as Officer Fanley, as we call him, the fan, or Sergeant Fanley, sorry. Uh, it's shaking a little weird. It's the press pull camera. This camera is operated by Court TV and feeds everybody, including Law and Crime Network. Anyway, back to our story. We mainly focus on guys like Chile de Castro, Long Island audits, that sort of deal. And we do a nightly newscast that is typically at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. But right now for tonight, just because I'm having monster storms come through the area, we're going to push it back to 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. We also have a very active YouTube channel. We started the channel back up about a month ago, so you can go back through this case when we have updates through this case and through the other cases. We have playlists of almost every day of the Karen Reed trial. Uh, and hello to our co-host Shuggy. Hello, Shuggy.
Hello. Hello, how are
Uh,
you?
I'm good. We are waiting for either the jurors to be dismissed for the day or a possible verdict. I sincerely doubt it's a verdict, but it sounds like they're
That
about to come in this session.
that was a very interesting development a wee bit earlier, wasn't it?
Goes back to session, you may be seated.
About
The
about
jurors
the
have
trial.
indicated they want to go home, so they're coming over.
Okay. Yep, that the judge just answered it for us. The jurors are going home for the day. Shiggy, we are broadcasting to about 150 people on Twitter right now. Say hi, Twitter
Good
people.
God, really? Hi, Twitter people.
Yes.
That's a record for you,
And
isn't it?
that is a record for us. And thank you to our Facebook and our YouTube viewers as well. It's a big day.
Everybody, yeah. And it is. It is. Um,
Yeah.
Interesting development about the jury verdict form, wasn't it? Earlier
Yeah,
on.
it was kind of pissy. It was kind of a nitpick thing. Just because they do it that way in California doesn't mean they have to do it that way in Massachusetts. But Alan Jackson, who is the man you see in the center there, sitting next to the two blonde women, he had his little hissy fit earlier and demanded that two boxes be added.
And then the next is saying, I've never seen it. And the judge goes, yeah, right, okay, fine.
Yeah, Yannetti is the local lawyer and kind of just, yeah, he does whatever Jackson says.
Pretty much,
So
yeah.
right now, one of the jurors has an existing appointment and had asked to be let out early today, and that's what looks like it's going to happen.
Fair enough.
Uh, while we're waiting, we also do panel discussions Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. And I do the best of the news. If you need something to listen to every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, you'll get a week's worth of news stories. It runs about an hour and a half to 2 hours every Sunday morning.
You seated for the session.
All right, jurors, you've been working hard today. I understand you want to go home, so we'll suspend for the day and we'll see you tomorrow morning ready to start right at 9. So please follow those same 3 instructions. Do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it, put the whole case out of your mind until tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
All rise to the jury. Jury out. Okay, there we have it. There will be no verdict today. In front of you, on the screen right there, is Patrick O'Keefe, the victim's brother. Immediately behind him is Turtle Boy Aiden Kearney, a prolific blogger. We also know him as a pain in the ass in our communities, but...
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Well said.
All rise, please. We'll be in recess.
Goodbye.
And there we have it. Yep, it's over.
So, Jim,
Hey
I
there,
drove.
Karen Reed trial watchers. You know what a lot of the trials we cover remind me?
Go ahead.
So I drove north to see my mum today,
Yeah.
and it was a 2.5 hour drive.
Oh,
So,
jeez.
no, it's fine. It's normal. But I had the closing arguments on the whole way,
Oh,
which is
good.
very interesting to hear them without sort of anything going on, knowing that the jury were deliberating. But I
Right.
got to the fourth road bridge where you go sort of across a huge river this morning about
Right.
10 o'clock, and literally you couldn't see across you couldn't see the bridge. As we got to the bridge, we couldn't even see it. So I had to
Oh, man.
levitate the car and levitate the car across the pool. It was quite fun. But hang on, so I can send you a picture of that. Hang on a second. If I got the ability, if I can tech, which is unlikely at the moment, you know what I mean. But
And for
do you
those,
think tomorrow there might be a verdict tomorrow? Do you think, or
I
what?
would hope so, and we've got a bunch more people joining us. Basically, what just happened was the jury went home for the day. One of the jurors had an existing appointment that they needed to get to, so there is no verdict today. You are listening to Jim Finch and Shuggy McShuggy. Shuggy is from Scotland, and that's what we were talking about a second ago. You can find us, Twitter folks. You can find us over on YouTube. We are youtube.com at really cool site. Really cool, COOLSITE. And you can also find this on this name on Twitter/X. You should be able to go back through this name and find all of our old broadcasts about Karen Reed. We've been covering the trial every day. We switched over to this channel about 4 days into the trial, so you should be able to get almost everything in relation to the trial, either on the Twitter or over on our YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, we do have playlists set up, so you can go from earliest days in the trial all the way to today's. I'll be uploading this to that playlist as soon as we get off of here. Sorry to interrupt you, Shuggy. Let's go back to what you were saying.
No, not at all. I mean, I think anyone who wants to watch the entire trial from start to now must have a death wish. How you guys did it, I just don't know. But I mean,
Oh,
the closings were fascinating, actually, in that obviously Jackson's a polished California, the great big man on campus, so to speak, and Inetti is a suburban lawyer to all extent, realistically.
right.
And then, sorry, not Inetti, the DA has not had the big city sort of, kudos that Jackson had. And you could tell in the closing, Jackson was far more of a showman than Lally ever was. I mean, Lally did bloody well today, except he got
Right.
damn closer. I mean, had to finish. Also yesterday. But
Well,
Jackson was obviously
and
the
yeah,
showman, wasn't he?
this is a very small. Canton is not a big town,
No,
and
it's my name.
uh, and I mean it's literally a small town where a big murder happened or alleged murder
Mm-hmm.
happened, and
Mm-hmm.
basically they were not ready for something like this, especially the national spotlight. As soon as Karen Reed went to the feds, as soon as Karen Reed went to Nightline, as soon as she started manipulating the media and the public through Turtle Boy, they weren't prepared for this. They didn't
No.
know what the hell to do, and I think they held it together as best they could, even though mistakes were made. I mean, there's missing footage from the uh, the video from the garage where the vehicle
Sally
was
Port.
held. The Sally part,
Yeah.
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 The solo cups that they use, the red solo cups that they use to collect evidence with, things that probably wouldn't be done in the big city. But then again, this was a nightmare case from the beginning because it was
Hmm.
during a blizzard. And John O'Keefe was buried in almost 2 feet of snow when Karen Reed miraculously saw him through the back seat or from the back seat of a moving car, where
Yeah.
even the video from the police coming to the scene with the spotlights on couldn't even see the
Didn't
body
show it.
through the heavy snow and in the yard.
But
Somehow
Joe, I
she knew
missed.
exactly where he was.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I missed the defense of witnesses the day before yesterday for a number of reasons. But all I could think of as I saw bits of it was they are talking about this thing happening in the cannon and everything like that in perfect conditions,
Right,
and it wasn't. And ground, I'm assuming it's the same in Boston as anywhere else is cold and wet and horrible. When you get that deep frost and deep freeze, that ground becomes rock hard. And I can see a bit of ground acting as a rock, but no one from the defensive side, I don't think I did either from DA's side, no one brought into account how rock hard the ground could have been when he hit the
right,
ground. Didn't have to be
right.
a
And
rock there,
and
did there?
And, for the last 30, 40 years, I've lived on the East Coast and had winters. Before that, we lived on the
Yeah.
West Coast or in hot terrain. But like in this scene where the ground was either starting to freeze or had already frozen over, they had a little bit of snow when the incident happened, but then it could have been hard as rock or hard as concrete. But I
Hmm.
just think they had trouble establishing what was going on with uh, with everything else. With everything else, getting a firm
Okay, so
establishment of how he got the head injury.
did did Lally miss a trick in not asking the question what happened if it was happening on frozen tundra or frozen ground, or did Jackson miss a trick by asking them to test or question what would it be like if it hit frozen ground? What was the who missed the trick? Do you think?
I think Lally could have done more tests to prove that the injury was indeed what they thought it was. I mean, I may have missed that part. It's a lot of testimony. I will admit
Dude,
that
you know,
it's
you've been through 30 days of it. Trust me, no. I mean, my hat's off to you and the guys. If you missed it, I don't blame you. You might need to sleep for 5 minutes, you know. Um, I don't know. It's it's odd, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, it is.
it can still. I'm afraid, given the one juror rule, it can still go either way. I think, unfortunately, honestly.
Uh, it can. I think it's a good sign that right now, and again, for those joining us, the jury was dismissed for the day. They had asked to leave early because a juror had an appointment. So this is not a huge deal. We just aired them going home for the day. But again, we're discussing aspects of the case. Uh, in America, yeah, they can have the one jury holdout or juror holdout.
So
The
all
fact
Jackson has to
is,
do is get one guy doubting the DA, and he's won.
and see, that's why Turtle Boy was so upset yesterday in his tweets was, or yeah, Was it yesterday? Yeah,
Whenever.
yesterday.
Whenever.
When the juror was dismissed yesterday, that was what he claimed to be one of the most pro Karen Reed jurors. And then the two that were randomly selected to be alternates were the two that would sit with her. So the little possible group of three that could have swayed the jury towards a pro Karen Reed decision, and easily done based on their reactions to the inappropriate text messages by Officer Proctor, uh, that is a tremendous loss for Karen
Yeah,
Reed if his reporting is true, because those are three
yeah.
people who seem to be
Well, hang
inclined
on.
to moving towards a not guilty verdict.
Let's be honest, it's Turtle Boy. So truthful reporting, really?
Questionable,
Bit of a
yeah.
stretch. But the other thing I thought Laddie did a very, very good job on in his closing was he hit the Proctor thing out of the park immediately. One of
Right.
his
He
first
addressed
comments
that.
was absolutely he did. And I thought that was clever. It was right to do. I think that it was the right thing to say. The fact he brought it absolutely front and center and owned it, I thought was a good move. Honestly,
And while we're here, just to add some breaking news, thank you to Paul Berry. In the case of Caroline in Fort Worth, she has rejected C.J. Grisham as her attorney. She has hired another firm. He had been acting as her temporary attorney after the incident this weekend where she sustained multiple injuries in Fort Worth after an altercation with a police officer very early Sunday morning. So anyone following
isn't
that
he?
case,
And he's the lawyer that was
see,
going after the guy who yelled at the town council in Texas sheepdog,
yeah,
wasn't he?
he is
His
representing
lawyer.
Texas Sheepdog in the CP case. If you know what CP is, we cannot say it on the
Yep,
air on
yep, 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 yep,
YouTube.
yep, yep, yep.
He is
But
also representing Earl David Warden, who is
yes,
also something
doing that,
awful.
yes.
He
But
is
wasn't
currently
he in
appealing his
trouble
sentence.
to everybody? Yeah. Wasn't C.J.
Yes.
Grisham? Wasn't he in trouble with that town council anyway, and facing his own lawsuit?
I don't remember. Verbo's joining us, another regular
Hey, by the
cast
way.
member. Do you remember
Hello.
anything about C.J. Grisham? And we will hop back on Karen Reed in a second. But C.J. Grisham has been rejected by Carolina and Fort Worth. He is no longer her acting attorney. So, do you remember anything about him being in trouble with the town council?
I do not, but I do know that all of them tend to bother the officials there, but I do not remember specifics now.
Okay.
I
Uh,
thought I thought after that last bit where Sheepdog let rip at the trial. Do you not remember we covered it one night, Jim? Grisham arrived in a really horrible suit. Do you not remember?
I
That,
think I do. I think I
Yes,
remember the
yeah, I
suit.
do.
Yes. Yes.
and I thought he was facing
Yeah.
charges or sanctions after that. I may be wrong. I may be wrong. I mean, for God's sake, I'm so
Well,
sincere.
he should have gotten charges and sanctions for the suit itself. That's the actual suit he was wearing. That was, if I'm remembering
Yeah, I'll give
correctly,
you that one. Yeah,
it
bright
was
orange
not
or bright
pleasant to
pink
look
or
at.
lilac or something. Was it bright lilac or I don't
Getting back to
know.
Karen Reed, yeah, the right now I do think it's a good sign that the jury is getting through this, that they are basically looking at the evidence. I know that the pro Karen Reed people were expecting this to be over in 2 hours. It was a slam dunk. But I think it is better, no matter which way the jury goes, that they are actually taking this seriously and going through 30 days. That's 30 days of court, let alone what 45, 50 days of actual 40 days or something like that of actual
Yeah.
weeks that have gone by since the start of this case. There's a lot to go through and a lot of things they were looking at. Today they asked for the search team's notes on what they were. I believe it was what they wanted to know what the cert team was looking for when they searched the property. And remember, the property was when John O'Keefe got hit by the car, or allegedly hit by the car, or if you believe his body was dumped, there was very little snow. During the course of the evening and into the next day, there was now up to 2 feet of snow in those areas. So the entire scene was being covered as they were trying to search in the afternoon, or yeah, when they got on scene that afternoon after the murder. So
Yeah.
they wanted to know what exactly they were looking for at the time. Now, this also goes to the question of, well, if this was planted, were they actually. Because supposedly the taillight, according to the defense, was planted sometime in the evening, which would have been after the CERT team had done their searches. So this may go to that fact. That was it on the list of the CERT team to look for taillight pieces? What do you think, guys?
Well,
But
I think
do you?
I
Sorry, go on,
think too,
Becky.
no matter what, they used a leaf blower in the initial
Right.
searches. So whatever the debris field that the one expert was talking about, and there's kind of a linear debris field that happens, and you follow that to try to find out where it terminates, right? I think
Right.
those metrics got mushed and distorted because they used a freaking leaf blower, which
Hang
Yeah.
I
on a
don't
second.
understand. I I don't get it.
Hang on.
They
So think about this for a second. So you had a slushy when he was allegedly hit by the car. It was probably a fairly slushy, wet snow at that point of the evening. It just started.
right.
Probably wasn't great. So if anything had been hit by him or hit him, and then there was debris there, as the snow came down over the remainder of the night through the early morning, you would have had a fresh layer of snow over blocks of ice containing whatever. So you're using my
Mhm.
big question is, was the leaf blower variable speed? You could actually adjust how powerful it was. Because I can quite see blowing
Um,
snow off
most
carefully with a
are.
leaf blower to leave a block underneath where the evidence would be trapped because of the freezing conditions. I don't know.
Well,
Right.
also,
Logically,
if you're dealing with microscopic pieces of plastic or even smaller pieces of plastic, that leaf blower is going to deposit them a few feet away from where they originally were if you hit them
Yeah,
just right
right.
on a high
true.
setting. And we are
Hmm.
joined by Pope Phil. How are you doing today, Phil?
I'm all right. What's going on?
Okay,
Hey, Pope.
it's a false alarm. The jury went home early today because one of the jurors had an existing appointment.
Yeah.
We knew this was going to happen. They just came in kind of early for that, for
Oh,
dismissing the jury.
gotcha.
So Turtle Boy sent out the alert to everyone that they had just been recalled. He didn't think it was a verdict, but we went live just in case, and it turned out
Okay.
to be it's just they're done for the day. They will be picking up tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. That said, while we have a pause, hey Jared Reed over on Facebook, our one Facebook viewer. We are
Well,
broadcasting
Where's
to
hang
Jared?
on. Wasn't he on Twitter yesterday during the
yeah.
closings?
Yeah, he just sent us an X message on X too, and I think he's in the room for Facebook or for YouTube. So
Yeah,
Good
yes.
boy.
yeah, he is inside chat here on X. I can see that
Rah,
now.
rah. He's our man.
But yeah, as
But
Touche says in our YouTube side chat, it was a nothing sandwich today.
Correct.
Uh,
yeah, I
just to
mean,
recap,
it could be that. It could be that for a week. Come on. I mean, it really could be that for a week with 50 days. It could be
right.
a week's duration potentially.
It could be
You
some
know.
time until we see it. I don't see it going more than a week. Uh, but it could be the rest of this week. They're coming back tomorrow for
Yeah.
sure. I do think it is a
Mm.
blow to the people who thought this was a slam dunk case. Uh, like yesterday when every Turtle supporter was expecting, them to be out by 2:30. I
Yeah.
don't think that was realistic because they only got the case like at 1:30. That would have been
Yeah.
sitting down and, hey, how you are? Not guilty. Okay, that's
Yep.
it.
But Jim, going back to our
Right. How
conversation
many?
before you actually joined us about it was a small town. They weren't ready for the media circus the California team brought with them. I still think they've done bloody well.
Yeah, they've held
They
their
really
own.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they didn't get flustered by the California hotshot. The judge stood up to him very, very well and was equally as tough on
Mhm.
Lally during the defense, his case in chief. Um, I think she's protected her appeal very, very well
right.
in how fair
And
she's
I,
been.
I think the capitulation today in redoing the forum when she originally gave attitude, and to catch everyone up on that, for those who've been here, all the thing is about the fifth time I've said it. Earlier today, there was basically an issue where the defense was upset that there was only a box to indicate for the second count, the subsections of that count, there were only check boxes for guilty, and they wanted to make sure that there was an option to fill in case the jurors felt she was innocent of those charges. Uh, the way that the judge did it was the way that the judge said it was done in Massachusetts. Yannetti capitulated and just said whatever Jackson said.
Yeah,
And
that was
Jackson
pathetic.
said, well, basically, I don't care how it's done in Massachusetts. That's not how it's done. And the judge
Mm.
gave in and redid the form, which then was distributed. It took a couple hours to do, but it was then
Yeah.
distributed to the jurors. It was a big dramatic moment. Jackson got to get red in the face and scream at the judge. And the judge chastised Karen Reed because Karen Reed
Oh
was
God, yeah.
sarcastically laughing.
Yep.
Uh,
Mhm.
she did not like that. That was one way to piss off the judge. Was I know that Karen Reed is a sarcastic person, but keep your mouth shut. That judge, if you are guilty, that judge is determining your fate. So you don't want to piss off that
Yep.
judge, as Chili DeCastro found out. You
I was
know,
about to say. So, I mean, Jimmy, you
that's
asked a question on the closing stream.
yes,
Yesterday, I think it was, who decides the sentence, judge or jury? And you
in
came back and
Massachusetts.
said, yeah, it was judge, or was the
Here.
Yes,
consensus of the
Yeah.
panel. And all I could
yes,
think of when she turned to Caroline and said, "Are you laughing, Mister? It's not funny," was the
right,
last person who did that, as you say, was Chili, and he got the max he could get within reason.
yes.
And I thought,
Mhm.
the judge did exactly the same with Karen Reed. She, well, I
Yeah,
mean, you know,
I think you do not piss off this judge. I think you're taking your life in your own hands, basically. If you are found guilty, this judge will be fair, but this judge can hold a grudge, and we don't know how she's going to go until a verdict comes down. Which
and
again
I'm
is not going to
sure.
come. Again, is not going to
Well,
come tonight because they went home. They'll be back 9 a.m. tomorrow morning Eastern time.
I'm sure that I don't know if it's what I feel is that judges have a certain leeway, and when she comes to her sentencing, I'm sure she's going to get sort of, well, do I do 10 years or do 12? That's a conversation, or whatever it might be. And she'll remember how much of a shit the defense were. And it may just tip her like it did with Chile. It might just tip her over the edge from a 10 year to a 15 year, for example. I mean, I don't know what the sentencing guidelines are, but I could see that happening. Where she's just
And
on the edge, and go either way. She's on a kind of a break now. She might have done, but she's not now.
she may be less inclined, yeah. Give me a 5x5 inside chat on YouTube. We got storms coming through, so if I can see my signal was low for a while. It is pretty good right now. Just let me know if I'm still coming in and coming out for Joe King there in side chat. Anyway,
Jim, quick one.
yeah.
I've got to bail. I just want to come on and say, listen, great job, you guys. It's been fun to watch. Let's hope we get a quick jury that goes the right way. But thanks, guys. And
Well,
I'll talk to you all soon. Go on.
thanks for
Later.
coming up, Shuggy.
See
Thank
ya,
you so
Shaggy.
much.
Enjoy it. Take care, guys.
Yeah, and we're gonna wrap up in a minute or two. So basically, what happened today again? The jury. Oh, Verbo, you just popped in and out.
Hmm.
The jury basically went home for the day because one of them had an appointment, a long-standing appointment, not a big deal, but they couldn't get out of it. So we knew earlier today, like at the start this morning, that the jurors wanted to go home early because of it. The judge granted that request, and this is what happened. They deliberated all day and went home just a little bit early. Normally, they will go home about 4:30 every day, 4:30 Eastern time. As we're traditional saying here, 4:30 Eastern time, 3:30 where it counts, because Pope Phil and our other co-host Hank are from the Central Time Zone.
Correct.
2:30 Mountain and 2:30 Mountain and 1:30 on the West Coast. I hadn't said it in a day, so I got a little confused here. Tonight
West
we are
Coast is
going
the
to
best
have
coast.
tonight
Pacifica.
we are going to have our nightly newscast. It's from stories from really cool site, our really cool site.org. I put out a newspaper every morning in the early hours of the morning. Today it went out a little bit late. And then we read those stories in the evening, usually 6:30 p.m. Every night. But today, just because this happened and we have storms running through the area, I'm going to push that back to 7 o'clock Eastern and give me a little bit more time to do the voiceovers for those stories. Those stories can be found on our YouTube channel, which is Really Cool Site on YouTube. We're also known as Really Cool News, but I believe our official channel name is at Really Cool Site on YouTube. We do have a playlist of all the Karen Reed broadcasts. You can sit through those, go back through till about like the fourth day of the trial when we started up on this channel and left our previous channel. So for everybody new, please remember this name. It's Mad Dog JMF on Twitter, and we will be having coverage of the Karen Reed trial throughout the week until a verdict comes down. I want to thank you all for being with us today. We're going to get out of here. Thank you to Pope Phil, thank you to Shuggy, and thank you for Verbo Boss for being with us. And please give us a like and subscribe for those channels that do that. Any last words, guys?
Jim's middle name is Mary Beth, in case anyone was wondering what the.
And then Phil ran. He's back. Mary Beth. Okay. And again, Verbo, any last words since I am now Mary Beth?
Mary Beth. A good prosecution is good for everybody to make sure that the defendant has all of their rights protected. So when it does go into appeals, it doesn't get overturned. So the jury taking time to go over each piece of evidence is good. And there was a lot of evidence here. So it's going to take a few
Yep.
minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to take some time to come back with the final verdict. On that note, folks, we're going to go to our closing credits and get out of here. Thank you so much for being with us. Please remember that, yes, we are here on the channel that you are listening to, on our Facebook, on our YouTube, and on our X, formerly Twitter. Thank you again, and we will talk to you tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern for our nightly newscast.
Bye all.
Aiden's next hearing is July 11th at 2 p.m.